And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Hello, everybody. Not exactly Brandon Rhymes. Actually, I'd be Brandon Rhymes in Bizarro World. This is Ian Beckles filling in for Mr. Brandon Rhymes. This is the consumer quarterback show, and it'll be me for the next hour or so. And I'm here to learn just like you guys, and I believe that's what this show is all about. Brandon's an intelligent young man, but he likes to bring intelligent young people on with him, and we pick their brains a little bit, and that's what the show is all about. So today we have three distinguished guests. First, we have, hope I pronounce this right, I'm going to get it right, Leo Cannyn.
Yeah, I've never been called distinguished before, so it's quite an honor coming from Ian.
It's probably the first and last time, so enjoy it.
Awesome.
It's all good. So Leo Cannyn from Beryl Engineering, about foundations and roof and home inspections and the whole 9 yards. So we're going to talk a little foundations and home inspections and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely got to make sure your house withstands all the sinkholes and hurricanes and tornadoes and Hawaiian volcanoes out there.
Yeah, those volcano stuff and that lava stuff is scary. I don't know what's scarier is wind or lava or earthquakes or water.
Well, if the sinkhole's big enough, you can actually get the magma.
That's pretty scary. Sinkholes are scary. Especially since the sinkhole ate that guy up while he was sleeping that time at night.
Yeah.
After that one, I don't want to go out that way. That seems like a really terrible way to go out.
That'd be a weird dream.
No doubt about it. All right, let's go down the line. We have Christie-students, right?
Yes, Arkovich, actually.
Vich, okay. That's a student loan attorney.
Almost as scary as lava.
I would say yes, because if you need a student loan attorney, that means something went wrong, correct?
It does, but a lot of people don't recognize that we're out there to help in reducing payments, eliminating payments, because people have such student loans now that they're expected to pay those until they die, and we try to correct that.
So if you have a student loan that you're not trying to pay, you're trying to say that it was unjust? I mean, you know what you're going into, don't you?
No, what we're trying to do is take advantage of different government programs. And if for private loans, we're trying to settle the balances, because you'll have somebody with a $75,000 balance making $800 a month not making a dent because of the high interest.
Sure.
So we're not trying to necessarily argue they're unjust. We're trying to use, this is a consumer show. We're trying to use consumer violations to reduce the debt, eliminate the debt where possible, just minimize it. Normally we don't get rid of the entire loan, but if we can drop it to a payment that's affordable and with an end in sight, our clients are very happy about that.
Just making it reasonable. All right, well, definitely we're going to come back to you in a second. We also have Ron Fuller from Mossy Oak Fence. What's up, brother?
Ian B., man, I love your energy. Good to be on with you.
You have a lot of energy yourself, I've noticed. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. There's such exciting guests today. I don't know what I could talk about to top, especially Leo. But I want to talk about posts. I want to talk about rotting wood and why we use galvanized steel. So whether you have sinkholes, lava, whatever you're going to deal with, we're going to try to build a fence to take care of that.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of the sinkhole, you'll still see our fence standing up.
So if we notice lava coming, which I don't know if we've had a lot of situations with, can you make kryptonite poles?
Man, I'll tell you what, Ian, I heard about a 2,000-pound lava rock that hit a tourist ship in Hawaii.
2,000 pounds?
2,000 pounds.
1 ton.
Nobody died.
Wow. And nobody died?
Nobody died.
How does that happen? People die by somebody died at Busch Gardens by a single bullet falling and hitting him in the head or something. How did you die? How did you not kill anybody with a 2,000-pound flaming rock?
Exactly.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Back in the day with the trebuchet, the 99-kilogram rock flung 300 feet killed quite a few people.
Yeah, I'm not into flinging rocks myself.
What about the penny from a 14th floor? What was the story with that?
Oh yeah, went through completely through someone's body.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Really?
But I haven't seen the MythBusters episode on it to know whether or not it was real.
And that could be something that people just have been saying forever, like an old wives' tale, you
14th
know?
floor? Nah.
Not the 14th floor. Now, the top of the World Trade Center, I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I get that, you know, but just, you know, the 14th floor's got to be higher than that, I would
Cats
think.
can survive that kind of fall.
Yeah. I think a penny would bounce off my rock hard head from the 14th floor. It's not getting through. I'm telling you, this head has been tested. Okay, again, it's very hard. Trust me, it's definitely been tested. Now, you're all about home inspections. You're about, you know, foundations and roofs. Tell us something about roofs that maybe the average person doesn't know, because, like, as a house owner, when somebody says I need a new roof, that's like the worst thing I could possibly hear in my life. Because that's the roof and the air conditioner are two things that when you replace them, your house doesn't get any better. It doesn't look any better. It's just spending lots of money. Okay, what is there anything to do that some ham and egger like myself can do to preserve your roof, or is it just about time?
It's mostly about time. I mean, if you have leaves that fall onto your roof, like we will in October, November, when all the oak trees just go from green to brown, when those leaves are on the roof, if you let them sit there, if you let them sit in your gutters and your valleys, that's just gonna hold moisture and eat away your roof. So get up on your roof, make sure that you sweeping the leaves off. Don't do any pressure washing.
Amen to that.
Don't do anything like that. Just get the leaves off the roof, and that can help preserve the life. And as far as you get a new roof, there are different colors, there are different types of shingles. If you have the old 3-tab shingles that look like basically barbecue bricks, you want to get the ones that have all the multiple flappies, they're called tabs, over each other, because those will last 25 years, where the other shingles will only last 15, and the price difference is like $100.
And you said don't pressure wash
Don't pressure wash.
Yeah.
your roof at all?
Now, there's some HOAs that say you must pressure wash your roof every so often. They're just asking for their roofs to be destroyed.
So pressure washing in general is terrible for your
It's
roof.
like a mini hurricane. You leaf blowing, pressure washing,
Makes sense.
you're subjecting your roof to high pressure, high wind, and a lot of moisture. That's exactly what you want your roof to protect you from.
You know, Leo, yeah, it's true. And you'll actually see the granules after a pressure washing. The granules, the very thing that is supposed to protect your shingles, is in your gutters or on the ground because they just got pressure washed.
Wow. So you see what we learn here? We're learning a lot of things.
Yeah, it'd be no different than putting a fence in the ground and putting all the posts that are very wood rot susceptible. Like what kind of material is bad? Like a cheap pine.
Cheap pine, yeah.
Cheap pine right in the ground. It only lasts a couple of years at that point, and that's gone.
Do you even make wood fences anymore?
Oh, absolutely. Which it's not my turn, but we're going to talk about that. The type of wood and where the wood comes from makes a major difference.
I'm sure. I mean, to me, you know, the other materials that are out there make a lot more sense in wood because the other ones don't rot. Okay, so but obviously, do people still like the feel of a wood fence?
The look and the feel of wood. What we use kiln dried cedar, and our posts are galvanized steel. So we actually get into a material that gives you that wonderful warmth and look of wood. But we've eliminated the problem. And the problem is the rotting wood post. That's where your failure's at. And the other issue is pine fences. Where the pine is harvested today, Central America, it's grown too quickly. It's way too soft. We use kiln-dried cedar, which is what Grandma would put her 100-year-old hope chest. That's a wood that actually detracts and deters bugs, and has natural fungicides in the chemistry of the wood.
Wow.
And then there's like that with the shingles too. I mean, you got algaecide built into the shingles to help protect it from algae growth and discoloration. I mean, there's a lot of different science techniques out there that are in building practice to help things last longer, as long as you invest the extra $5 every 100 square feet to do it.
No doubt.
And a lot of people are trying to be cheap. They go down to Home Depot, they get the cheapest available, and then they wonder why they're replacing it in 10 years.
Cheap doesn't normally work, and that's unfortunate. And cheap doesn't work with education either.
No, folks went to those ITT schools, Corinthian, Everest. They didn't do well.
Didn't do well.
And they weren't even cheap.
No, and for myself, you know, I had a full scholarship when I went to Indiana University. It was
Awesome.
It was an athletic scholarship, which was wonderful, or else I wasn't going to school. I didn't have that money. So I was blessed. And then after I played my rookie year here for the Buccaneers, I went back to graduate, and I had to pay for schooling. So
Sure.
I really understood how important it was.
Did you go to a state school then when you went back? And
I went back to Indiana.
Yeah,
I went back
good,
to Indiana, and First of all, I realized for the average person out there how much easier their life was than mine was, in athletics. Being in athletics, we still have to do the same thing scholastically, but we have to get up in the morning and lift weights in the morning.
Right.
We got to go to practice. We got to travel. And now I went back and didn't have all that stuff to do. I was like, man, this was actually going to school was fun.
Great point.
Now tell us that schooling is important enough to get yourself in debt $75,000, because some people say that schooling is not important. Obviously, it's important for me because I went back to graduate. But let us know how important schooling is still.
Sure. Well, in some regard, school isn't for everyone. Nowadays, though, a BA is almost a high school diploma, a bachelor's degree, 4-year degree. And if you don't have that, you really sometimes can't get other than an entry-level job. You can never move up in your field. So I do think it's important, but I think selecting the school that you go to, making sure that hopefully it's a state university or a private school that has a good reputation. Check out the reputation of the school. Don't assume that the Department of Ed is really working on your behalf with accreditation, because they're not. And I've seen some sad stories out there.
Now, what's sad is when I'm hearing people talk about their student loans and what they're going through and how long it takes them to pay back. It almost sounds un-American in some ways, because when I'm hearing about other countries that are paying for their kids' education, and we don't pay our teachers, and we don't really help our students either. And to me, that's the future. Doesn't that make a lot of sense for us to pay for our kids' education, or at least help them out a little bit?
Well, our system in America doesn't really provide anything other than, say, Pell Grants. The military has some subsidization, but for someone just attending school out of the boat, you've got just standard loans, whether they're federal or private.
We're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
We're going to come back, and we're going to touch on a few more things. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. This is the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
One
listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
Welcome back. Ian Beckles filling in for Mr. Brandon Rhymes, and we're trying to blend in 3 different things: home inspections and student loans and fences. It all works. The banter's working. This is not your first rodeo, anybody here, and everybody has their own little.
You got to get rid of the student loans in order to buy the fence and buy the roof. And
Correct.
Buy the house.
And there's a correlation between everything. Now, I have to ask you, as somebody, this is Ron Fuller from Mossy Oak Fence. Where did the name come from, first of all?
Ian B., that's a great question. So, the founder of Mossy Oak Fence, Shane and Brandy Miller, one of the first fences they installed in Florida. When the job was done, the sun was setting, it just went really well, and there was just that beautiful oak tree with the moss hanging, and we're outdoorsy people. We love wood and love trees, and that really is just as simple as that. It was just that vision after the first install, and it just kind of stuck.
And how long has Mossy Oak Fence been around?
We've been doing this about 20 years. Started in Atlanta, Georgia, came down to Central Florida approximately a dozen years ago.
Wonderful. Now, I have to ask Christie, as far as we're talking to Christie Arkovich, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who's a student loan attorney. That sounds very, I'm going to say, you're pinpointing exactly what you need, okay? This seems too small for me, for a student loan attorney.
Well, the reason we refer to it that way, because a lot of people don't think they need anyone on their side. They think they're talking with their loan servicer. The loan servicer is going to give them all their options, their best option. The loan servicer, though, does not represent the borrower. Their client is the creditor. So why would they have any responsibility to describe any options, figure out the best one? People need an advocate on their side, so that's why we call it student loan attorney. It's not an official designation by the Florida Bar, but it's a way to help get word out that there is someone to help those folks, because when we see someone come in, they're usually not doing the right thing. They have no idea what the options are. They're just paying buttloads of money every month, and they're not getting anywhere. So we're trying to fix that.
Now, how does somebody pay you if you have a student loan attorney and you're trying to eliminate a bunch of bills for a student loan? How do they pay you?
Well, our fees are very low, and we offer installment plans. And if there are consumer law violations, like if there's cell phone calls or things on credit reports that aren't supposed to be, or debt collection letters that don't have the proper language, we sue for those violations. And if we prevail, we get our fees from the other side, from the creditor. So many times our client may not have to actually pay us.
Wonderful. Now we have Leo Cannyn here from Beryl Engineering, and he had a question for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I run into this a lot, especially with my employees. They've co-signed for a brother or sister. It's been 2 or 3 years. The brother or sister is making their payments. How do they get off the loan?
Well, there's a couple ways. There is a market out there that refinances private student loans. The borrower has to have a pretty decent credit rating and a good job in order to continue to make payments on the loans. And another way is the co-borrower can buy out their responsibility. Sometimes they have to pay lump sum, all at one time, 20 to 50 cents on the dollar, but they can buy out their responsibility so it no longer shows on their credit report if, for instance, the relative's not making payments or they're not making timely payments, so they're getting dinged on their credit. So there are a couple ways to get off.
So that would be like a gift? If I pay 20 cents on the dollar on someone else's loan, it disappears from their principal, or the company just pockets it?
Well, it disappears from their principal. And you basically are 100% liable. So it's not really a gift to the relative. It's just that you paid your portion, because as a co-borrower, you're not only allowing your credit to be used to qualify for the loan, but you're promising to repay the loan if the original debtor does not. And so you're paying that loan down, and therefore it does come off the balance.
Wonderful. Now, I have to ask you, Leo, home inspection, that's pretty much what you're getting just after you purchase the house? Correct?
Well, it was part of the home inspection of what we do is when you put an offer in on the house and it's accepted by the seller or the buyer, and then they hire a third party, which would be us, to do the inspection, tell them what they're getting. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the sellers do it in advance because they want to know what they're putting up on the market. They don't want to be dinged by a report later. Buyers do it. But to tie back into Christie, the type of inspection we do a lot is when someone has an insurance claim and they send an insurance adjuster out there. That insurance adjuster, who's saying how much your home is damaged, they work for the insurance company.
Sure.
And it's important to have a third party, an advocate that works for that homeowner, trying to make sure that the adjusters are actually adjusting the correct damages. So we do quite a bit of those inspections too, because you can never trust a biased individual. If he comes out there, she comes out there, I represent the company. They don't have your best interest.
Absolutely not.
And what would a homeowner know? I have no knowledge about my roof other than I
true.
have one. So I would never be able to counter anything.
And I purchased a home about a couple of years ago, and we went through the home inspection, and they got to this flawless home inspection. And I think we talked about this, and after I'm in the house for 2 weeks, it seemed like everything started to break down like immediately. So, I mean, what can you do to prevent that? Is there anything you possibly do?
Well, you can just vet your home inspection companies. I mean, any service provider, like even the fence company, you're investing in a service. So, as an option, so a lot of people don't want to get heavily in debt through school. Become a tradesperson. Become an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter that does fence work. Build yourself up through the ranks into supervisor. I know a lot of tradespeople who make close to six figures, and they have a high school education. They have no student debt, and they're in the mid-20s, making about $120 a year, $120,000 a year, and they have a useful skill set. And long term, they can get into supervision. There's a lot of different avenues for them. So
I agree. Not everyone's destined to college, and you can make some serious money doing that kind of work.
Skill set is well said. I mean, I have good friends of mine that or started off as roofers, and now they own roofing companies, and they're making very, very, very good money. You're learning the business, you're learning the craft, what's right and wrong, you make the mistakes. Same with yourself, Ron, Mossy Oak Fence. How long have you been yourself in the fence business?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things I'd like to tie into all this discussion. One thing that I love in the morning at our plant in Tavares, we have 17 crews going out every day. So there's 17 groups of people that are installing fences. A lot of jobs are created. This country, we used to manufacture things, and people would be suited for certain types of jobs. Some cats are not digging sitting behind a desk. And so the idea of getting our trades back and manufacturing again is really exciting to me. It's my children. I'm so proud of my daughter at UCF. She is debt-free due to her grades. But I tell my kids I'd much rather give you a down payment to a home or help you start a business. I want you to go to school, get your degree, but I want you to pay as you go. I don't want that degree to be 4 years to party. I don't want that to be excuse that I'm guaranteed a good job because I have this degree. I would rather set them up with practical things and allow the college education to be a supplement. But grab the skill set that you have. Welding, I know people need welders. There is specialties with aluminum welding. There's so many things out there. To see us manufacturing again really excites me. Love to go to Home Depot, open up a refrigerator and see Made in the USA. I think we need to get back to that. So, Chris,
can we though? Is that even a possibility? Because I mean, that's in a perfect world. That's awesome. Like we all buy USA. That's in a perfect world. It's wonderful. But like Harley Davidson, okay. If it costs you $2,200 more to make one here, you're going to go somewhere else and make it. I mean,
it's funny, Ian B. I'm a Harley rider, and I know a lot of guys that ride. We will spend more to buy American, even if it means that we're spending substantially more. But I know not everybody agrees with that or follows that philosophy. But I have family in the Dalton, Georgia area. We're manufacturing flooring. Not only carpet in Dalton, but hardwood flooring. There's Whirlpool doing a lot of work in Tennessee. So we do manufacture a lot of things in this country. It's kind of, the idea is if we're taking care of ourselves, the way I see it is a strong, prosperous America is going to be a safer world.
And Ron, your advice for parents, your suggestion about maybe putting down the down payment of a house or starting a business, that is terrific advice because we see a lot of parents taking on what we call Parent Plus loans. They have high rates of interest, 8 or 9%. They're not based on that parent's income or how long they might be still in the workforce, and they get in trouble just as much as the kids do. And the problem is that they can have their Social Security offset, they can have their taxes intercepted. And it can be problematic. So I think parents need to watch what they sign on behalf of their kids as well, whether it's co-borrowing a private loan or taking on a federal Parent Plus loan.
If you really think about it, it's kind of ritualistic here in the United States of America, but as parents, you want to spend a lot of money on weddings and stuff like that. You really think about it, it's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It's really stupid. You're going to spend
newlywed
$50,000 on a wedding, and then they're going to struggle for the next 10 years paying for the rent. Doesn't make any sense.
A and B, you're right. Can you imagine setting up a young couple with the down payment on a home? Do you want to have a $50,000 wedding that you're going to forget about? Some relatives you don't like, some relatives get drunk and embarrass you, or a down payment you're set up for a home, set up financially, because that wedding is here and gone. It's one afternoon, and then it's gone.
Other than the 5 pictures that you get.
Other than the 5 pictures. One thing Christy and I were talking about, E&B, we were talking about how exponentially the cost of college went up with the advent of loans.
Absolutely. And, I did the whole Florida prepay thing, which saved me. Without that, I'd be in big, big trouble. But I'm looking and I see how much colleges cost out of state, and I don't know how anybody can send their kid out of state. It's amazing.
The problem is you don't have lender responsibility. You have loans that are backed by federal subsidized money or federal money, and no one's making a decision objectively on whether it makes any business sense for the student or for the school.
We're gonna come back and we're gonna touch on that a little bit in bankruptcy and how we can get around those things. Don't go anywhere. Ian Beckles filling in for Brandon Rhymes. It's the Consumer Quarterback Show. We'll be right back.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, once again, Ian Beckles filling in for Brandon Rhymes. We're hanging out here with Leo and Christy and Ron. We're kicking it back and forth. Now, Leo, you're with Beryl Engineering. Is all about foundations. Now, I have a new building that I'm in now on West Shore and Gandy. New building, and not a new building. For me, it's a new building. And for somebody going into it, I didn't purchase it, but it's something that I'm looking to purchase maybe in the future. Cracks for me are intriguing, okay? Because as somebody that's kind of your expertise, when you see cracks in a building, what should be your mindset? Because sometimes you see somebody buy a building, there's a crack in it, you're like, it's a crack, it's not a big deal. And then 2 years later, you found out that there's either sinkholes or some kind of something's going wrong where your building's screwed. What should we look for with crack?
I mean, I've become something of a crack expert in the past decade, but most of the cracks...
That might come back to hurt you later
95% of the cracks out there are just... They're nominal. Buildings settle. Just imagine a cat jumping onto a pillow. It's going to push down on the pillow in a couple of places, then it's going to make itself all snug.
Okay.
And then after it gets all snug, it's going to just sink a little bit more. And that's what houses do. They do a little bit of sinking after they're built, just like that cat, only the building of a house isn't like a cat tearing up a pillow. But that's just natural. So you'll get these natural cracks. What ends up happening, though, is the paint starts to get too old, and then water starts getting into the stucco system. Those cracks aren't normal. Or what happens is the builder built the house too fast. They don't let the stucco sit long enough before they put the paint on. And then cracks start to form because the paint's not there. Or sometimes you put an addition on a home. You didn't compact the soil. So now you've got two homes on two different, basically, foundations starting to pull away from each other. That forms cracks. So, I mean, the cracks could be any one of a number of things, but true structural sinkhole type cracks or major settlement, that takes years and decades of neglect to get there.
Okay. Well, that's good to know because, but it's happened sometimes where it just seems like a simple crack really accelerates real fast.
Well, yeah, and that's what happens. We call it the point of elasticity. It's basically like taking a rubber band, and if you stretch it and let go of it, it goes back to normal. Well, eventually you stretch it past a certain point, and it's deformed. And then if you keep stretching it past a certain point, it breaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and Ian, even the saw cuts that you'll see in driveways and garages, we're inviting that crack because we know concrete is going to crack. There's absolutely no two ways about it.
It has to crack, I believe, right?
It has to.
Well, concrete's a liquid. People think, this is a solid surface. Concrete's actually a liquid. Stays liquid for about 100 years, constantly shrinking, and they're called shrinkage cracks, to get to the point where it is going to be what it's going to permanently be.
Concrete is a liquid.
Liquid for about 100 years.
It gets harder over time, stronger.
Yeah,
So I'm walking on liquid then. That's what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, now I have to ask you, Ron from Mossy Oak Fence, do you smile when storms are coming? Is that a good question?
It is a good question. We as a company, I'll brag on Shane Miller. We're big in the Central Florida market, and there's a radio station called WDBO, which is a big station there. A lot of people rely on it. When a storm hits, down goes the internet, down goes your television. People pick up the good old-fashioned radio. And they had us on as a guest talking about what to do now that the storm had hit. And we actually had recommended some of our competitors. And that was a surprise to not only the radio station, but the competitors in the market overall. And it's because we wanted people to have a reputable company fix the storm damage.
Sure.
So as a company, storms can be good for business, but we hate to see people lose their fence and money. And a fence is security. You have dogs you're trying to keep in or keep out. Children you're trying to keep safe. Open pools, that's a big safety issue. We really take open pools seriously. But as a company, we actually build materials to make that fence last. So rather than using inferior pine and wood posts and things of that nature, we're actually trying to design that fence to withstand some pretty decent wind. But you can't, obviously, if you got a strong enough wind, nothing's going to hold.
Now, after a big storm, and we have a couple a year usually, do you have to stock up on people just in general because you're going to be hit with business real quick?
We're blessed with a lot of business. We have about 17 crews going out every day, so we do about $2 million a month in fence sales.
$2 million.
$2 million a month, and we've been steady.
Wrong business.
We've been steady. Even after the hurricane, we figured we would slow up a little bit, but we've stayed rock steady. We're really grateful.
Are you talking about not storm, just period, you lose $2 million?
Absolutely.
Fencing's expensive. When people ask me during home inspections how much is this fence to replace, I tell them it's $175 every 8 feet, and that's just for a low-grade fence.
Wow.
Board-on-board wood.
They're not messing around. That's good to know, because I'm looking to open up some other businesses, and fences doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to talk to Christie Arkovich here, the student loan attorney. I listened to you guys talk during the break, and somebody was talking about bankruptcy. If somebody files for bankruptcy, does their student loans go away?
Great question, Ian. Usually not. You have to show an undue hardship. It's very difficult to do that, even for our elderly clients. But there is something new going on, and that is when you go to private student loans, when you get private student loans, many of them are taken outside the cost of education. In other words, the tuition, room and board, all that's paid for by the federal loans and grants and things. And so what is that student loan then that's taken for other things? It's actually just a regular consumer loan. It's not really a student loan. It was taken outside the cost of education. Those are potentially dischargeable. And so there's a movement around the country now to discharge those loans and to reopen older bankruptcies where maybe there wasn't an adversary action filed back in that bankruptcy, but technically it was a consumer loan and it should have been discharged. Interestingly enough, a couple things. The confirmation order, when you have a bankruptcy, it says most student loans would not be discharged. It doesn't say all. And you have a lot of these private student loan companies that are advising the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, and their own investors that these loans may potentially be dischargeable because they are, in fact, taken outside or could be taken outside the cost of education. So this is an argument that we never hear about. We have a couple cases pending here in Tampa that we filed that hopefully we'll have results in a few months on those. And there are a couple cases around the nation. So I think we're going to be seeing more of that. But that is for private student loans, not for federal. With federal, there's a lot of income-based programs, and so those programs can lower someone's payment to actually zero. So it's very hard to show an undue hardship because if you aren't making money, your payment can go to zero. But you still have a taxable event. And there was a case in Kansas recently where because this person would experience maybe a 6-figure or at least 5-figure tax debt upon their retirement at age 70-some, that potentially could be a reason for undue hardship. Because when you're in an income-based program, a lot of folks aren't paying their payments enough to pay the interest, so it's an accruing balance. It's negative amortizing, and you could have a large amount of forgiveness in 25 years when you really don't have the money to do that. But one of the things I wanted to touch on, Ian, is you mentioned earlier that student loan borrowers, don't they know what they're getting into? And don't they owe the money?
They might not. You'd be honest, but
yeah, the problem is that they're 18 years old when they're making these decisions. They're asked to sign documents that are on computers that are electronic. They don't get copies of them. They don't even read them or know what they're signing.
Kids can't use computers.
they can use a phone.
But what happens is you might graduate. Another thing is you might graduate with a reasonable amount of debt, but you can't find a job for a while, or other life events happen and you go on forbearance. Now the servicers, they push forbearance somewhat like a drug. To them, it keeps the loan balance intact. It keeps their bottom line looking good. It's not in default, so their investors are admiring of that approach. And forbearance is something that at the end of a forbearance period, it sounds good. The borrower doesn't have to make a payment. What could be better than that? But at the end of the year, then their loan capitalizes the interest. So now they're paying interest on interest. And that compounding effect, there was a recent article out that people are experiencing doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling of their loan balance. They might have been able to pay the original balance, but they can't pay one that's 4 times higher. The worst that we've seen is we had a client once with loans from the late 80s that it was 10 times higher.
Jeez.
And she had actually paid her principal balance 3 times over, but she owed 10 times more than what she borrowed to begin with because of how long it lasted with that forbearance. And then an interesting thing is if you accidentally default on a federal student loan, they add 25% to the balance for collection costs. And you can default more than once. So you can have, if you happen to get into a couple problems and you weren't communicating with your lender or the servicer wasn't giving you good advice, you can have a loan that's 50% more if you had 2 defaults. I see 2 defaults all the time.
See, this is part of the problem. I'm an educated person, and I'm really smart at some things, and I'm really, really dumb at some other things. That's just the way I am. Like if you give me a contract, if I give you a contract, you'll look at it and read it, and you'll understand it. I won't understand it. Like, I won't get it.
Right.
How many people get duped by that? I see you bobbing your head as well because I think you're good at this stuff as well. But how many people you think get duped on loans and mortgages and stuff like that just from technicalities of verbiage?
A lot. I mean, I think the biggest lie out there is I have read and understand these terms. And you just click on this little box.
That's it.
And we see a big problem with public service right now. You have to have a certain loan type to qualify for the public service loan discharge. I have very educated people that had no idea. And so they think they're trucking along 4, 5, 6 years into a program they're not even in because they have the wrong loan type.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to freestyle a little bit for the last segment. So don't go anywhere. This is the Consumer Quarterback Show. We'll be back. Brandon Rhymes will be back next time. It's Ian Beckles filling in. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man, Brandon Rhymes.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Consumer Quarterback Show. Ian Beckles filling in for Brandon Rhymes, who was doing some business in California, I believe, and I guess had to take a red eye and wanted to get a little shut eye, and I understand that wholeheartedly. Those red eyes can hurt at times, that's for sure. So did everybody, without getting too political, because that gets ugly sometimes, did anybody see the meeting with our president and Mr. Putin? Did everybody take a good look at that?
I know it happened, but I didn't read anything about it yet.
Now, as everybody is business owners here, how do you find that the Trump era has affected your bottom line in the last couple of years? You think it's affected your bottom line?
Well, the stock market has been doing very well, and I think overall, a lot of the economies in the country are a little bit better.
Okay.
Our clients are back to work. They're able to pay their student loans. Credit card debt. We don't have hardly any foreclosures anymore. We used to do a lot of foreclosure defense. Now, some of that was kind of going out anyway, whether we had President Trump or some other president. So,
how about yourself? Bottom line?
I can't really tell. I mean, a lot of what Christie was just mentioning is just carryover from the Obama administration. I think my biggest impact is going to be next year, where the tax plan goes into effect. My deductible that I'm allowed to just write off goes to $22,000.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have 6 or 7% more disposable income next year because of the Trump administration, but it hasn't taken effect yet.
Okay, but
it has, but it hasn't. Its impact hasn't taken effect to me yet.
And what about the economy itself? Do you feel the economy's impact or coming back? You feel that's affected your bottom line?
I feel Obama got us out of the recession that we were in, and Trump has maintained it. I think both of them together, their administrations, have just continued us on a course of economic prosperity. I don't really think that one did more than the other. They definitely didn't undermine each other, which was good with regards to economy.
No, I wouldn't say together. I would say separately, because I don't know if they agree on anything. To this point, I believe it's helped our economy to this point. But I wouldn't say it's together, because I don't know if they would agree on anything.
Well, I generally try and stay out of politics.
No, me too. But I'm not trying to make this political.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk about dollars and cents. You see what I'm saying?
The economy was doing good, and it continues to do good. I mean, they're always looming about another correction, interest rates rising, real estate corrections on the horizon. That's all looming. It will happen, but is that the president's fault? I mean...
Well, once again, this is not about fault. This is just about our economy and how it's affecting our bottom line. And for yourself, people need fences, but they don't have to have a fence, okay? So economy is important for you.
Yeah, Ian B., I tell you, we've seen a positive effect since Trump's taken over. We're busier. We're able to... The tax break is tremendous. The one thing that doesn't get a lot of press, there's a group of people who had stopped looking for jobs. And it's that group that said, it's not even worth it for the kind of job or the hourly rate I'm going to get. It's not worth it for me to even get back into the workforce. That has significantly improved, and that's good to hear. People are back to work who had just basically given up.
Now, for yourself, people you're employing are laborers. Okay, so have you seen more Americans maybe apply for jobs in the last little while?
Well, we have crews that are skilled in a certain skill set. We have people that tend to be specialists with the wood. We have repair people who that's their specialty. We have people that are better at welding or in our metal. We're just as busy as we can be. We haven't changed people so much as we've had to hire additional people. I can tell you in the last year we've added quite a few jobs to our plant, to our manufacturing and installing plant.
Well, that's excellent. Now, Christie, for yourself, when you talk about student loans, has Donald Trump enacted any laws that could help student loans, hurt student loans? I don't know the answer to that.
Sure. Well, I mentioned earlier the public service problem where a lot of folks are not in the program and they don't realize it. Wrong loan type, wrong loan payment. Congress and President Trump did pass a $350 million fund a couple months ago to apply for folks who were in the wrong loan payment program. So that's good. They also made it that if you get an administrative discharge due to disability, it's no longer taxed. That went into effect around February or so, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's a really good one, and that's good through 2025. I understand it's part of that tax savings bill that might expire at that point, but it could be renewed. And then one thing is a lot of folks are fearful that President Trump will try to take away the income-based debt forgiveness programs and public service. That's not his goal. During the campaign trail, he tried to argue for a simpler plan, a one plan, basically 15% over 15 years. And right now we have 8 different plans. If someone has a federal loan and they want to go on an income-based plan with debt forgiveness at the end of a time period, there's 8 different ones. And usually we'll see someone in the wrong one and they don't know why they're in it. There's a better one for them with a lower payment or not a taxable event or something like that. And so it would be nice to have one simple program because that would save a lot of clients from being misled by a servicer, whether it's negligently or intentionally, into getting into the wrong program. So I think that overall, that's good. With respect to the Department of Ed, though, they've kind of backed away and done some things that have been harmful for students. The program that was for borrower defense to repayment, which was for these for-profit private schools like Corinthian and ITT and things that have closed down, they've basically put on hold that program. They're rewriting the rules, and they're making it a little bit more difficult for students to try to discharge that debt. So that's much more of a problem for folks. The Department of Ed is also looking at whether or not they should lessen the Bruner standard for undue hardship, like you mentioned in bankruptcy for federal loans. I don't know what's going to come of that, but they did solicit comments last month asking for folks what they thought. and particularly with our elderly. We've got clients that you mentioned that there's a lot more folks that had stopped looking for work, Ron. And but our elderly, when they do find jobs, they're very low-paid jobs, and unfortunately, we have a high clientele that's older, getting up in age, where the minimum job the best job that they can get is really something that's paying less than $15 an hour. And they can't repay their student loans on that. So there's still that problem out there. And I'd like to see maybe some more programs addressed to our elderly for student loans.
No doubt. Now, talking to Leo Cannyn from Beryl Engineering, when you talk about our economy, making a comeback, if you look back into the real estate, you go back 15 years or so, you couldn't find anything on MLS at all. Now there's everything out there. Is that better? Is that better for your business?
Well, this is what they call a seller's market. The sellers put houses up, and they keep putting what they think are reasonable prices up, and they could be too high. So we don't have enough inventory. So in this market, we've actually, and I've talked about this on Brandon's show before, we might have seen an increase in 12% for the average selling price of a home. But we've actually seen a decrease in 4%. This is in the Tampa market, decrease in 4% on the volume. So for us, we need the volume.
Mm-hmm.
So we would rather have more homes at a cheaper price so we can do more inspections. So
Sure,
so this slowdown, which we are seeing an actual slowdown on the volume, is impacting us.
Inspection prices, do they vary is it just size of the house? That's the only thing that varies the prices?
Well, it varies on the size and the age. And I talked about this on Brandon's show 2 weeks ago. The new insurance regulations just took effect in Florida, where they've changed the 4-point inspection, which is what you need to qualify for insurance on an older house. And they've made that form now basically a home inspection. So our prices have had to increase just this week to make up for the fact that now instead of doing a 4-page report, we need a 12-page report so someone can get insurance on a house.
Okay. Now, Ron, I have a new headquarters over there, I said, on Gandy and West Shore, and we need a fence. Okay. And there's salt water right next to us.
Yeah.
We can't use wood next to salt water, right?
Well, actually, Ian, that's a good question. It's the material for the hardware. We want to use saltwater friendly hardware, stainless steel fasteners, galvanization. There's just certain things that we're going to look for. The key is corrosion when you're near salt water, and wood not so much. It's more of the metal. In fact, you'll notice a lot of docks have held up pretty well. It's the sun that really takes it out of the wood. But yeah, we have fasteners that are stainless steel. 316 grade is really what you want. That's what you'll see in a high-end boat cleat, the boat rails. That's what you're really looking for. Aluminum. Now here's an interesting thing, Ian. A lot of people say, aluminum doesn't rust. That's not exactly the case. In the terms of rust and ironization, that's correct. But aluminum does corrode.
Okay. Makes a lot of
it's
sense.
a white, powdery, so aluminum does corrode. It just doesn't rust because that's what iron does.
Okay. What about vinyls? I mean, obviously they don't rust, but what about vinyls by the sea?
That sounds like a song, Leo. Vinyl by the sea, or a new restaurant. So that's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. A lot of the PVC fences or the plastic or vinyl fences that you see out there are actually recycled or reclaimed. So this fence that you're getting installed might have been the dashboard of a Buick or someone's mattress in its former life, and it got renewed.
Sure.
We use a virgin vinyl that was designed to be a fence from the beginning, and it's impregnated with titanium dioxide, which is actually the active ingredient in sunblock. So there is a difference even in PVC fences.
Virgin vinyl that's impregnated. That's the first time I've heard that one ever in my whole entire life. It's wonderful.
That's why I'm in the fence business. I love our verbiage.
That's an oxymoron. I love it. All right, for Ron Fuller, Mossy Oak Fence, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Just go on the website, www.mossyoakfences.com. Look us up. We do service all over Florida. We've grown so much. Our headquarters is in Tavares, Florida, but we service Tampa's needs every day.
Christy, how do people get in touch with you?
Sure. The website is CHRISTIE, and it's Arkovich, ARKOV as in Victor, ICH.com. One thing is we have a free ebook, How to Take Your Life Back from your student loans, on our website, and our phone number is 813-258-2808.
Beautiful. Real quick, Leo.
Beryl Engineering and Inspection. We can be found at berylprojectengineering.com. So the easiest way to do it is just Google Beryl Inspection or Beryl Engineering, and we pop right up.
Perfect. Everybody want to get in touch with me, all social media at Ian Beckles. I appreciate Brandon for letting me sit in. Everybody, this has been Real Consumer Quarterback Show. Have a great week.
Are you a real estate agent looking to take your business to the next level and supercharge your marketing? Hi, I'm Brandon Rhymes, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, syndicated radio and TV show talk program on iHeartRadio, 1025 The Bone, daily 5 o'clock drive time on 1380 The Biz, and our TV show is on WeBeam TV. We're looking for real estate agents that want to join our team and supercharge their marketing utilizing some of our innovative strategies. We utilize the Real Geeks platform, Facebook marketing, internet marketing, and a lot of the traditional methods as well. Postcard mailers mailed for you, postage, signage, business cards, all paid for by the company. Aggressive real estate splits and ways to help you win in any marketplace. We need you to go out, take applications, and work our plethora of leads that we're generating on a daily basis. Reach out by clicking the form below, and we'd love to have a confidential interview with you.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.